Good.
I'm going to try to have you on that corner.
Okay. Do you want her up here or do you want her on the ground?
Maybe beside you.
Okay. Beside me, up or down?
Oh.
Up? Okay.
Up, yeah.
Scotty, place. Good.
Yeah,
Scotty, sit.
probably on your- there you go.
Here. Sit. Uh-uh.
Oh,
Come here. Here. Sit.
Beautiful.
Good. Thank you.
The American Pit Bull Foundation
That's correct.
and Program Director for Operation Sidekick. So
Yes.
kind of break down both of those for me.
Absolutely. So the American Pit Bull Foundation is the organization, and Operation Sidekick is a program under that organization. So the American Pit Bull Foundation has 4 primary programs: humane education, outreach, advocacy, and then shelter to service. So Operation Sidekick is the shelter to service piece of those 4 programs that are run through the American Pit Bull Foundation.
And that specifically is what helps the veterans.
Correct. It's completely veteran oriented, so it's utilizing dogs that are in the shelter system to raise and train as service dogs for veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. So it's doing 2 things, twofold. It's reducing the euthanasia rate of highly adaptable animals, and then also providing help to veterans that are struggling, that are of high potential for suicide.
Tell me about that moment where you decided to target veterans and pit bulls.
Well, it's always been pit bulls, so we can start there. That's the easy part. Pit bulls are the most abused, abandoned, neglected, overbred, stereotyped breed class of dog that there are out there. My heart just naturally went out to them. They're so misrepresented, especially as such fantastic companion animals as they naturally are. So it's always been a love for pit bulls. That started very early on for the most part. With the veteran piece, we were looking at some of the awesome things that we could do with some of these dogs that we saw coming through the shelter system that had such fantastic temperaments and personalities. And so we looked at a variety of services. But I do come from a military family, and after looking into what some of the biggest needs were, it kind of naturally just all clicked together because unfortunately veterans are a population of very underserved individuals when it comes to some of the disabilities that they face after coming home. Scotty, can you sit? Come here, back down. 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 Good. Good girl.
So walk us through, how do you do it? From getting the litter to actually having it, I don't know if it's a handoff, transition, pairing, partnership, I don't know what the terminology is.
Okay. The process starts with us finding a solid candidate, female, a mother. She's obsessed with leaves, sorry. So we find a female that's pregnant in the sheltering system that's on the euthanasia list. You know, a pit bull that's pregnant in the shelter system is one of the first to go because 1 pit bull equals about 13 rather than 1. So they're usually at the top of the euthanasia list. We do temperament test the females that we pull. We want them to be good mothers. We don't want them to have, you know, severe anxieties or any aggressive tendencies or anything like that. So we are pretty particular about the females that we pull for the program. Come here, Scotty. Down. Nope, down. Come on. We're not playing with the leaves right now. That's later. So we start by selecting the pregnant females from the shelter. Make sure that they have the correct temperament, correct disposition, and that they're going to be good moms raising. You know, we make the best educated judgment that we can based on how we interact with them, how they do under the stressful situation actually at the shelter. That says a lot because dogs under stress act differently in a shelter environment than they do a home environment. So once we have a female selected, we pull her from the shelter. The shelters don't charge us for that. They're very happy to help and not put her to sleep, so to speak, or to euthanize her. So they usually do that at no charge for us. We bring her home, set her up in the most quiet, comfortable, whelping area we possibly can, give her lots of really good, high, nutritious foods, rewards, and give her space to have her puppies. Once she does, we whelp, train, and we raise those puppies over an 18-month time period, roughly, to do service work. And throughout that 18 months, we get a really good feel for all of the dogs and all of the puppies to determine which ones of them have the right personality and the right temperament for that job and which ones do not. The ones that don't go into therapy work, they can become facility dogs, they can work with multiple people, or they can just get adopted out into loving families. And then we also adopt out the mothers too. So if they have any medical ailments, we take care of those. Most of them are heartworm positive, so we treat them for heartworm disease, and then we adopt them out as well.
So let's touch on the difference between a service dog and a therapy.
Yes.
A lot of people may not know the difference.
I would love to. So the difference between a service dog and a therapy dog is really the number of people served. Service dogs specifically serve one person, and specifically tasks that are geared towards helping that one individual. Therapy dogs service multiple people, so they're typically very social animals that want to meet and greet and love on and get loved on by many different people. So think of a therapy dog in hospitals, in schools, things like that, whereas a service dog, it's one person. We want them to bond with one person, follow that person's guidance, and always be tuned in and checked into their needs.
How do you know? How do you know who's ready, which one's ready for therapy, service, or just a loving family?
Well, a lot of it is in shaping. So they have their own natural genetic personalities, and so we shape them the best that we can for the task that we're trying to assign them to. And as they grow and as they develop, we can tell whether they want it or not. Dogs naturally have a work drive or don't have a work drive. So in setting them up as if they're all going to be working no matter what, we can easily determine as they grow which ones really want to do it and which ones don't. Obviously, we're only going to pick the dogs that naturally want to work and they're very eager to please. Again, where the weeding comes out too is if they're just overly social and they break and they're very distracted by other people, we'll weed them out.
What does it take to make this entire program work? Money, obviously.
Yes.
So that goes into it.
Absolutely. So it takes a number of factors, critical factors, to really make this whole program come together. It's kind of difficult. Money is definitely one of the top things, but we've been able to narrow it down. Most service dogs can cost anywhere from about $25,000 to $30,000 a piece. We've got it down to about $10,000 a piece because we work with rescue dogs, so it's not a breeding program. And we also work with volunteers, so we train our volunteers to help with handling, socializing, and training them as well. So that takes out a lot of cost right there. We do have veterinary partner programs. She absolutely is obsessed with leaves, sorry. We have veterinary partner programs that help reduce some of the costs that we face as far as their medical care goes, because everybody's current on vaccines, current on heartworm and flea preventives, and that's really important. The health of the dog is super important to us. So we're able to get some breaks there that help reduce the overall cost. So the funding is really important. Again, it's about $10,000 for us per puppy to raise and train them for that full 18 months. And then having the volunteers, the people to help make it happen that can socialize the animals appropriately.
So when Scotty is introduced, say she opens a service dog, and she's introduced to a veteran,
Leave.
how does that partnership work differently? Do you work with the veteran over time to help them become
Leave.
acclimated to fall in love? How does that work?
Absolutely. So in selecting the veterans, it has to be a really good fit for both the veteran and the dog. We work with their therapists, veteran service officers, to make sure that it's actually an advisable treatment plan for that veteran in particular. So we put them through a bit of an application process and kind of a get to know you process to make sure that it's actually the right treatment. If they have a family at home, we have to make sure that the family's prepared to bring the dog in and to understand the rules of a working dog as well, because we don't want to ruin them once we get them there. We want them to be able to do their job. So once we go through that process and we actually approve the veteran, then we work with them for about 6 weeks. We train them everything that the dog knows. We train them how to work with the dog, a lot about dog language, dog behavior, a lot about resting your dog. The dogs actually need decompression phases too to be able to continue doing their work. You can actually shut them down if you work them too hard. So we teach them about that, but we do a lot of hands-on work with the veterans for a good 6 weeks before we actually let them go.
And what are the rules for a working dog?
Working dogs work for everything. They work for affection, they work for food, they work for praise, they work for reward, they work for everything. And it's not like that for their entire lives, but it's like that especially when they're getting to know someone brand new and develop that relationship. It's really important that they stay in that working frame of mind first and foremost before they go into a relaxed state or the dog state of mind, so to speak. So that's the first thing that we get the point across to them with new people. And that's the same with new fosters when they take in a new dog as well, that it's always a working frame of mind. I don't get on the couch without asking and being told it's okay. I don't eat without being patient and waiting for my food. And I don't get cookies just because I'm cute. I gotta work for it.
And so the family has to know that's the structure, that's how
Come
the
here.
dog thinks, operates, the behavior has been taught.
Scotty, sit. Sit. No, sit. Good. Down. Yes. Understand the importance of why we structure them and make them work for everything, that there is a method to that madness, and then the family also has to demonstrate that they're willing to keep that rule in check, and that all of the family members in the household understand that. Even little kids, like, it's important for parents to be able to communicate that with their children, that it's really important that our dog follows these rules and here's why. So we look to see the family actually demonstrate that in person when we're not there directing. You know, we'll give them all of the information that they need to put those rules in place with a working dog in the house, and then we'll kind of sit back and we'll just observe to see how they do with it.
You do a lot of work.
Yeah. Good. Absolutely.
You're saving lives.
Yeah.
Lives. Tell me how that feels when you see that interaction. You saw Greg and Lila today. You know what a difference, what a profound difference Lila has made in his life. He's just one example. What does that do for you?
It is almost indescribable. It really is. I can't even put into words the feeling that you get to know that these two creatures interact in such a way that no other two creatures can. These dogs, and you know, it's odd to say it this way, but the dogs are able to do things that the humans are not able to do. So when a person shuts down and they aren't able to find that connection with a human, and they're just lost and desperate, and their only solution is to take their own life, when you see an animal come in, you know, that is able to do what we are just, you know, we're desperate, we can't help anymore, what are we supposed to do? And that you just see the change that happens in the person, and you see them come back out of that shell, and you see all of this light instead of constant darkness. It's indescribable. It's amazing. It really pulls at you and really reinforces that what you're doing is right. It doesn't matter how hard it was, how much work it was, how long it took you, how many didn't make it, how many weren't successful, how many dogs you couldn't save. Whenever you're right in front of that one person that has immensely benefited and it's changed their life to where that they have hope and want to experience that life again, it makes everything absolutely worth it. Scotty, hey, come here, you. Right here.
Anything else that you want to mention that I failed to ask you?
I think just getting it out there to the general population. I don't think people really know some of these problems that we're trying to solve actively with dogs. I don't think that most people understand what a huge problem suicide is in our veteran community. We lose more veterans to suicide than we do to war. There's something really wrong with that. These veterans aren't getting what they need when they come home. We're only providing for them when they're away, fighting for us. So we're losing them every single day, 22 every single day. Same with our sheltering population. I don't think people realize that we are literally killing thousands and thousands of animals every single day. And here we have two beings, you know, we have pit bull type dogs and we have veterans that can come together and, in a sense, save each other, right? So I think it's really important to get the problem out there so people understand why it's so important that we're providing the solution that we're providing, because it's effective, because it works, and because as a community you can come together with funds and with volunteer hours and you can save lives. It's that simple.
Not every dog makes it, though.
No, not every dog will make it. We only pick the best of the best. One obvious reason is pit bulls have a bad rap already, right? So we want the top of the top. Now, with that being said, they're dogs. You know, humans don't make it 100% of the time either. We're not perfect. They're not either. I don't expect Scotty here, even when she's fully trained and ready to go, to ever be 100%. Like, that's just too much to ask of any animal, human or dog. But we also want this to be something that they want as well. If they have the work drive and the ability and the desire to do it, they're going to be really good at it, right? It's like putting somebody that, you know, wants to be out in the wilderness in a cubicle. Like, it just doesn't work. You can't force it. So Letty is one of our dogs right now. She's actually going into therapy work, but she's one of those dogs that's overly social. So it sounds like a bad thing to weed them out, but it's really not. She wants to service many people, and that's where she thrives. So we're gonna put her in work with many people where she's really, really good, but that means we have to wash her out as a service dog. So it's not always a bad thing to get washed out.
She'll still be of service.
She will still be of service, yes. Yeah.
One of the things that Greg said, you know,
See the kids?
it refers to Angela, but I think it refers to the dog as
Yes.
These service dogs, they're getting these veterans sick. They're getting their backs.
They really are. And the fact that the veterans can give into that and feel comfortable with that and actually be able to finally relax a little bit is just a huge weight off of their shoulders. To not be constantly hypervigilant and checking around their shoulders. And no matter what, when I go into a restaurant and eat, I have to sit with my back against the wall so I can see everyone else where I am, because everyone's a potential threat, even though they know that they're not. To be able to relax and to be able to sit where you want to sit. You want to go to the St. Patrick's Day parade and not have to worry about the crowds, and you can just go enjoy your family, enjoy your kids. It makes a huge difference.
What's the do for you in here when you see like a big strong veteran just get all lovey-dovey with the dog?
It makes me think, I know you. This is the real you. You're in there. Let this out more. This is who you are. Let it out. This is the good side of you. Yeah. I want to see more of that. Yeah. It feels good. It's the real side of them. Yeah. We already know how strong and tough you are.
All right. I know one thing, and then as far as B-roll, I'll be done. I do want to get. You said I guess how she, like, if you put her in a situation, how she's supposed to respond to you. Is that what you're-
Yeah, so I can show you a couple of her alerts that she's working on. So she responds to signs of heightening anxiety as one. So somebody that's going to go into a panic attack or something like that. So if you want, I can kind of replicate that and show you how she responds.
Okay. And then bench over here.
Sure.
And then, if she hears
Scotty,
that
off.
little fellow over there,
Mm-hmm.
she may be distracted.
Hey, watch me. Yes. You see what this is? Yeah. Come on, heel. Yeah, I'll let you love on her before we load up. Once we undress her.
That's me, Mr. Marshmallow.
Oh,
Come
I
on.
don't remember
Yeah.
that. Mr. Marshmallow. I have to change your picture.
Scotty, right here.
Marshmallow.
Scott. Yes, good. Good girl, good girl. Good girl, thank you. I'm okay.
Take shots. I'm gonna go wide on that. You should do kind of the same
Yep.
thing,
Yes, good girl. Yes, good job. Good job. Good girl.
And this is a critical part of what she's meant for.
Yes, it is. This is what we build on, because the harder I breathe, the more my heart rate's going to go up a little bit, and they cue into that somewhat naturally. So if I can emulate that or replicate that when it happens in real life, they're not going to be as obvious, but she can pick up on it because I'm emulating kind of what will happen and causing my own heart rate to increase a little bit. So it makes her much more keen into it when it actually really happens. So.
I'm gonna come a little closer with off the shoulder. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. And she's like, what are all these people? Girl. Girl. Good. Good girl.
There's got to be a lot of pride just in her responding the way she is and knowing that you're part of getting her ready.
Yes and no. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm always nervous. I'm always worried. I want them to do the best that they can do, so I'm always thinking kind of next step ahead. Like there a little bit, I kept it going a little bit further just to see if she'd keep at it. Just push it a little bit further and see if we can get her even better to that next level. Right, Scotty B? But yeah, it makes me really happy when I get to see them shine, doing their thing. What I love is when I'm training a veteran in particular. I was just working with one recently. We placed a dog in Texas, and he had all of these different kind of nervous titches that his dog wasn't familiar with and working with her handler, but picked up on really naturally. So knew that his anxiety was starting to rise, and she would be alerting him, like pushing him and like touching him, like, hey, just heads up, this is what's going on. And he just kind of, shove it off, like, what are you doing? Like, stop. I'm like, no, she's trying to tell you something. You need to listen and pay attention. Yeah, she's got you. Good girl. So come fall, we are going to just throw every leaf situation at her possible.
Yeah.
To get her over it. The other cool thing is that you can often use the vice as the reward. So if I work her around a bunch of leaves and I get her into focus, even for 5 minutes, then I'll just let her go at it. Let her have at it. Sniff every leaf you want, play with them. So sometimes you can use their vice as a reward. You see that kid and you really want to say hi, do what I want first, and then afterwards you might get to say hi.
Right.
Yeah, so.
You like little people.
She does.
You like little people.
Yep. No, it's tough.
Aw, good girl, Scotty G. So I get to be a dog every once in a while. We should sell your autographs to raise money.